Hey people, injured here, 3v3, Estia Province, blue team. Couple of Chaos players. First up is TheCrydd as a Chaos Sorcerer, offensive and disruptive commander, lots of great manipulation and control abilities, and some pretty decent offense too, alongside Aguxyz as a Plague Champion that starts off range combat with a damage over time bolter, can get melee weapons, some decent utility and support, can build turrets and repair, but is very slow. And rounding off this blue team is RAZBEG as a Techmarine, starts out range combat, puts out some good damage, can also support with structures and repair, wade into melee combat as well. Red team, Stormtrooper is an Apothecary support commander that fights in melee combat by default, begins with a target heal and a passive health regeneration aura. This is the Ultramarines DLC from Relic, looking as awesome as always. Alongside Deckard is a Lord General, fights range combat, begins with a retinue of Stormtroopers to help him out, really good defense and support capabilities. And this is, I believe, the Steel Legion elite scheme. There it is, I forgot the name for a second. And rounding off the red team, Kain is a Farseer support commander that fights in melee combat, lots of great buffs with some debuffs and control abilities too. Over on that east side against the Techmarine, though the mid and east players usually all fight together in 2v2 fights, and then end the game you see the west side light up with a massive battle over this contested VP. But right now it's Sorcerer versus Apothecary. Sorcerer instantly consuming a heretic after firing out his doom bolts. He wants to fire that again. It can really turn engagements early on. If you land it well, you can pretty much force something off immediately. Krydd with double heretics there, double Tzeentch worship will infiltrate everything, including the heretics themselves. We have double CSM from Aguxyz, shooting up some guardsmen. Not a fight they really want to get involved with. Deckard with just double guardsmen, no sentinel on the field to protect these guys with the stomp. So he's obviously going for a tier 1.5 unit quite quickly, supporting his team with generators, I imagine. No, he's not even putting generators up. He's going for some catechins. Heretics following Aguxyz's army. There's that Nurgle worship. Sit behind heavy cover with your CSM and your Plague Champion, and you become very difficult to dislodge, especially very early on when there's no jump troops and stuff around. So you're going to finish off those guardsmen. Almost. Not sure why those guardsmen push forward in that instance there. They back away to their turret. Should have done that in the first place, I think. Wait for those catechins to hit the field, allows you to threaten those CSM a hell of a lot more. Can also deal with the heretics with shotgun blasts and stuff as well. Shotgun blast the heretics, then perhaps force melee combat on the CSM, though the Plague Champion does have a couple of very good tools to use versus catechins. He has the Bile Spear, which does some pretty awesome area effect damage as well as debuffing the target. Very bad news for catechins, who tend to blob together within the squad. And Noise Marines, of course, accessible to all Chaos commanders, who do a fantastic job completely shutting down catechins and doing tons of damage. What is this Techmarine up to? Trying to force melee combat on the Rangers? No. Not sure what that pathing was, but he's eventually got into combat and wanted to use powerful sweep. But the Dire Avengers shoot him off there. 477 and to 471 is a 2-to-1 cap for the blue team. They have this contested, and they have that contested wreck point, which can make a huge difference if you hold it for long periods. Doombolts flies in, kills a guardsman, but they push on regardless. You see the health regeneration aura provided by the Apothecary there. Awesome passive support to your allies in a team game. Apothecary has the Purification Vials and the Sanguine Chainsword. One of the best team game commanders, I think. A well-played Apothecary can really turn the tide of games, especially if you're in a position where you're alongside one of your allies for long periods, which in this case is not. He's over on that west side. Can hook up with Deckard once in a while, though, as he comes over to the west, support his catechins with heals and stuff. Assault Marines are on the field for Stormtrooper, though, so he's most likely going to want to reserve that heal for those guys, which is why it's a good idea to focus down that Apothecary straight away. He's forced to either heal himself and use the heal, or retreat, and then there's no Apothecary support for the rest of the stuff. One of the few cases, I think, where you want to focus down the commander a lot. He's gone for the Sanguine Chainsword, makes him a bit tougher in the field, especially when he's in combat. And getting those hits gets a bit too close to base there. Base turrets coming into effect. We have Devastators on the field for RAZBEG, who's come to the mid. As is usually the case, the team that displays the most mobility is often the team that wins in team games. Yes, you have your lane and you need to make sure it's locked down, but dipping in and out of the other lanes and helping your allies is a huge part of it. Doombolt's on the ASM. Doesn't quite take a model, and they didn't decap that wreck point either. Is that double aspiring champion heretics? No, one heretic is default state with those 8 models. 8 very fragile models, and of course since 2.4 those guys now provide more XP for dying, so focusing down those heretics even more of a good idea. 477, 399 double rangers on the field for Kain. These guys no longer doing that big chunk of courage damage out the gate. They now need the hollow fields to be able to suppress effectively, and Techmarine is forced off there. Sniper units, of course, having great accuracy against all units, even if they're in cover. There's the Noise Marines for Aguxyz. Lord General happy to force melee combat on them, which is a great way to use this guy early on, or perhaps throughout the game, though. Late in a team game, he often gets shot up before he can do that kind of thing, and reverts to a kind of backline buffing role. We don't have any war gear on that Lord General yet. Wow, Noise Marines taking their time to get away, losing a model, perhaps lucky not to lose another jump mate from the ASM. Maybe knows a grenade of the Purification Vials. Can absolutely wreck light infantry in tier 1, as can the light grenades, of course. Plague Champion's so slow though, it's often hard to get them off exactly how you'd like. Doesn't have any war gear either, this Plague Champion. Havoc setting up. This should deter red team from defending. Can he force them off and then bash? Nope, there's a jump. And he knocks back both of those squads there, slightly bunched up, but he does get away okay, TheCrydd. And that was some good pressure from blue team. They kept the red team away from this west side, if nothing else. What's this though? Scouts on bashing duty, running into Devastators though. And that could have been really nasty if he didn't pay attention. But he does get away with the model loss. Flamer Tactical Marines here for Stormtrooper. Would love to burn down the generators, but he's a little bit of patience here. Get some support maybe from this Eldar player. Kain is over in the mid. And over on the east side, RAZBEG is being a little bit static here. I don't think he realizes that the Eldar's on the other side. He should be pushing up, capping and bashing and stuff. Or help over here. Do one or the other. Do we have hollow fields? We do not. Wraithguard already up though. Look at this. What else do we have? Chaos Dreadnought on the way for Aguxyz. RAZBEG has a Razorback and has started to push up this east side, as you see. Do these guys have a Flamer on the way? They do not. They have to shoot down those generators with bolters, which takes a hell of a lot longer. Havoc suppressing those Tactical Marines. Purification Vials is thrown. Let's see what kind of damage it does to these heavily armoured Chaos Space Marines and Havocs. They are able to tank the damage. Havoc's losing a model, and the TSM retreating out. I don't think they needed to do that. These heretics are worshipping for Aguxyz. Noise Marines surviving with 2 models. They can do some really good stuff for you versus Guardsmen, and Eldar in general a good choice, especially if you can target those Wraithguard if they come into play over here. Where are they right now? They're in fact in retreat. They were already in play. And RAZBEG is now bashing gens with Devastators, which do a little bit more damage than 2.3 Devastators, and setup teams in general can bash gens reasonably effectively. As you can see, at close-ish range was, of course, the damage there was absolutely out of control when 2.4 was released, but it has been fixed. Chaos Dreadnought is up from Aguxyz. That improved autocannon now can take some shots at stuff, but those are infiltrated Stormtroopers with an anti-armor kit. Needs to be careful, does have a lot of support here, and it can support your walkers just by having units around them, because they really are threatened by infiltrated stuff like that. An isolated walker is a dead walker. Unless you're a sorcerer, of course, and you can just warp it out of trouble like a boss. Havoc's covering the VP. You might want to shoot down this drop pod. This is Stormtroopers. 440, 340. Big disruptive blast. The old reliable grenade launcher from the Catachan Devils there. Rangers flanking inwards, or outwards from the middle it was. And a full retreat from Aguxyz. You can't retreat your Dreadnought, of course, you need to walk it back. Should be okay though. Unless these guys can get off their melter bomb. Doesn't look like they can quite get close enough. And Aguxyz doing a good job trying to force melee combat on them so they're not firing their melters. They are now in range to shoot. And have good accuracy on the move from the look of things. And there's the melter bomb. Is it a melter or is it a crack? What do they get? It's a melter bomb, apparently. And they're chasing it down. Here come Noise Marines. They need to target those Stormtroopers. Where are they going? 440, 309. He's targeting the Lord General, in fact. Perhaps knew that the Dreadnought was fine there. Needs to get his other stuff out of base. There's a Noxious Cloud, which can be so nasty if you don't spot it. Down goes a Razorback Wraithguard, making short work of that thing. The Crydd looking a little bit thin here. Down to 3 units. Rest of the players doing a reasonable job preserving their stuff though. Do those Dire Avengers get away just as I say that? Yes, they do. We have level 2 Assault Marines with Thunder and Lightning for Stormtrooper and their Sergeant, of course, which is a big deal for Assault Marines. Give you a power sword, but most importantly gives you the absolutely fantastic Merciless Strike. Down goes some gens. Stormtrooper pushing intelligently here. I'm not sure if he spotted those Chaos units trying to flank around, or he just senses trouble, but he's backing away. 44302. Aguxyz into tier 3. The Crydd is already there, and Kain also going. There is Angels of Death, providing 50% damage resistance and full knockback immunity for the Apothecary's infantry. It's a fantastic global. Assault Marines with a staggered jump, chaining that knockback. Staggered jumps can sometimes be the death of you, or they can sometimes be good, giving you multiple knockbacks. And it happens because of the unit being split up slightly when they start their jump. 440, 292. And we have a 2-1 for red team. Chaos Dreadnought taking out the Apothecary on retreat with a melee attack and tosses him aside with a sync kill. Purification Vials lighting up the map, but he is forced off over here. Stormtrooper fighting 2 players pretty much. RAZBEG doing a good job supporting this side. Meanwhile, it's the Eldar player Kain pushing the east unopposed. What is this thing? Oh, not completely unopposed. There's Devastators in the garrison, but they're being shot to pieces by Wraithguard. Ouch. Losing 2 models. Wraithguard, of course, seeing lots of changes in 2.4. They can now fire on the move, but do less damage, less courage damage, are slower, and have a longer wind up on their shot. But they're going to bash gens here, I think. You saw Guide on them briefly from the Farseer, who has no war gear. Let's look at the other heroes. What do we have? We have Sword of Flame from the Sorcerer, Plague Champion with nothing, still Techmarine with Plasma Gun, Bionics and a Refractive Field. Mismatch of stuff there. Has Bionics to deter melee scores, though I don't see many. There's only ASM from Stormtroopers, really. Suppose he could knock back the enemy heroes in a pinch as well. Phobos on the way for Crydd. We have Stormtrooper, Apothecary with nothing. The Lord General has the sniper rifle, which gives you fire on my target, which is great. And Armory Assyrian for the Farseer, now getting Runes of Reaping also. Gives her more energy regen and I believe a lower cooldown on her spells. There you see it. Allows her to use Guide more often, which is obviously great. 424, 277 is a 2-1 for blue team. Just got their power mostly bashed. The generator remains, but it should go down right now from the Wraithguard. No. Has to avert his attention to fight this Chaos army. There is the Time Field, such a powerful piece of war gear, but the Farseer are retreated out, so it cancelled. No, she moved. Either way, it stopped. Plague Champion being chased down, but she needs to run. double Eternal War CSM do pack a punch, even without other upgrades. Level 3 Tactical Marines with that Flamer are going to bash gens for Stormtrooper and might be able to get the whole thing because there are Assault Marines there to jump and generally distract anything else. This Tactical Marine squad with the Plasma Gun, which was recently reduced in cost, I believe. Might have been a 2.4 thing. Chaos Dreadnought walking through stuff and wants to shoot a Lord General in the face. Predator tank is up from RAZBEG. Crydd's Phobos is in play. Is that a dead Lord General? Surely, yep. Chaos Dreadnought without a mark. There's a Melter Bomb on the Predator tank, but should be fine. Should be fine, yep. CSM with Eternal War now for Aguxyz. Both of them. The Crydd's CSM are still vanilla. There is that Phobos with twin-link las cannons on both the side sponsors and a twin-link heavy bolter on top. Very good versus large targets. Can also stun and debuff nearby enemy infantry with Dirgecaster, which really helps protect this thing since it's quite slow being a land raider and only, I say only, has 2,000 hit points of vehicle armor on something so fat and slow. Can often spell the doom of it. Seer Council on the field for Kain. Looks like he perhaps called those guys in, which the Farseer can do. Allows you to get Seer Council on the field without spending power. Not sure what these Tactical Marines are up to. Were they trying to tie up the Wraith Guard? Somehow they get away. How much damage does Seer Council do? I don't actually know. It's a bunch of power melee. Someone can tell me in the comments. 352-271. Might have to look that up. Must be at least 50 power DPS each, I would think. They seem to hurt a hell of a lot, that's for sure. Doom Bolts on the Assault Squad. Doom Bolts staying relevant late game for the Crydd. Doesn't really have a whole lot else to use his energy on. Farseer persuaded to leave. Are we going to see the dreaded Time Field Eldritch combo on the Land Raider? Doesn't quite have the red to use it at the moment, Kain. Seer Council back at base, reinforcing for 6612 per model. RAZBEG wants to steal these gens and should be able to do so. Push through with a tank or doesn't want to risk it. Might be pushing through with a tank here to try and shoot some gens down. That one's pretty low, should be able to get that. Techmarine trying to follow up for repair support. West side is quiet, might see a big 2v2 fight soon. Leman Russ is up for Deckard. Lord General, of course, can call in Leman Russes from his global bar, which might have been the case here. Phobos edging forward. Look at the damage of that shot from the Leman Russ. That's the Vanquisher cannon on it. But then look at that damage from the Phobos. Leman Russ has that inherent 35% damage resistance, but I think in general does less damage itself than the other tanks in the game. Great synergy, of course, with the Guardsman repair mechanics. Their Guardsmen repair slightly faster than other units, and you can get repair bunkers up, which might be what that bunker's going to be. Dreadnought goes down. Did it have Marco Zinch? I didn't quite spot it. I'm not sure. Nice Merciless on those heretics. That was painful. And they run the hell away. There is a Nurgle Shrine up, but it's not being worshipped right now. And that Phobos is being pushed by that Leman Russ. Look at the work it's doing with that Guardsman support. 352, 260. Improvised Explosive goes up from the Catechans. That can be very nasty. Especially if you can get a couple of them in the same place, set them off at the same time. Wraith Guard attacking the Predator tank, which is snared by the time field. You cannot attack and you move slower when you're in the time field. I'm not sure how much slower, probably 50% slower or something like that. Devastator is not facing the right direction to have a say in this engagement and are persuaded to leave. Still, no hollow fields on these rangers, so they're not doing that suppression damage. 349-253. Chaos Terminator is on the field for Aguxyz. The Crydd is floating a lot of resources here at 75 pop, so could get something good. Not sure why he's not. Some Terminators of his own, perhaps. Need some AV to deal with that Leman Russ. You don't want an Imperial Guard player getting multiple Leman Russes up at the same time. More bunkers? Do they stack? Does the repair bunker stack? I think it does. I'm assuming it does. And he is going full on bunker. Does, yeah, Stormtrooper has a Predator tank on the way to take advantage of all that repair support there. Was that Blastmasters? Yep. Blastmaster, I should say. On the way for the Noise Marines. Obvious choice at this stage in the game on the west side of this map. TheCrydd trying to decap under infiltration. You are revealed very briefly for the second or so that you begin your decap, but after that you can remain infiltrated. The Plague Champion trying to cap with Pestilent Strike up, but is being knocked over by the Plasma Cannon. Armor of Pestilence does not stop you being knocked over by ability knockback, which is what the Plasma Cannon does. There is Citadel of the Rift causing absolute havoc, forcing off some Plasma Cannon Devastators. Yes, that's going to help them cap. Maybe the Plague Champion is being shot down though. Blastmaster coming into play. Chaos Terminator is being aggressive and chasing down some Assault Marines, trying to get them in melee, I think. They have some nasty power fists. Can he finish them off? Not quite, I don't think. No, looks like they're going to get away. Barely. Oh, there's an Eldritch going off, I think. Yep. Eldritch on the Land Raider Phobos. Does huge amounts of damage, but can they finish it off with the Leman Russ here? Predator tank also, surely. This thing is going down. Artillery spotters dropping a smoke shell in there. Very, very annoying. And down goes the Phobos. Chaos Terminator is now forcing melee combat on the Leman Russ. Trying to chase it down, of course, with their autocannon as well. And the TheCrydd now very thin, still not spending his resources. What is he waiting for? I'd get some Terminators up and maybe a Grand King one as well once you have the resources for it. But it might be better off getting Chaos Terminators up and then getting some Havocs going. Because Havocs are awesome. Maybe some Zinc Shrines over there as well, because even if those Doom Bolts don't come into play because the shrines are too far away or whatever, you do get that damage resistance from them. Although I suppose it doesn't have many units to benefit from that since they don't affect allies. Blastmaster is pushed way far up here and is being shot down. Not sure what he's trying to achieve. Losing 2 models. Stealing a bunker there is the TheCrydd. Trying to steal them all. Oh, Zinchi Nuke. There's the Imperial Abyss. And it doesn't achieve a whole lot, it looks like. Apothecary has the Anointed Power Axe, as you see. Combat Stims also up. 252. 221. The blue team have this west side, but for how long? A wasted nuke, you've got to say that. Techmarine is down. Has the Axe of the Mechanicum, or whatever it's called, to help him versus those Seer Council, perhaps. Assault Marines, oh, Vanguard Veterans, in fact, jumping in there. There's Merciless Strike, but they are knocked all over the place. That passive leap from the Seer Council does knock you over, and it does damage as well. They really are a cool squad, and these guys now emit a passive 15% range damage resistance, which they themselves benefit from. You see the blue markings below their feet, indicating that they themselves are benefiting from it. A nice buff for them, and down goes the Plague Champion in retreat. But I think, yeah, the Techmarine got away, so should be able to revive over there. Red team have retaken the west side, and they're looking pretty strong over here. Don't seem to be particularly interested in capping this wreck point though. There's a triple cap. Blue team pushed back all over the map now. Here comes a Manticore. Look how strong those red team rosters are. The TheCrydd taking so long to get units on the field. Not sure what he was waiting for. Could have got a couple of Havocs up while that Phobos was still alive. Might have saved it if he had some las cannons putting pressure on. 192-205. There's the 2-1 blue team taking a natural back. Still no interest in taking this wreck point over here. Is that triple repair bunkers? I think it is. Good luck taking down that Leman Russ. D cannon now coming into play in the mid from Kain. Now, of course, has that damage of a time mechanic after the initial blast. Commissar retinue member from the Lord General, and he has the Vox operator there, up to a 5 model retinue, and Chaos Space Marines running into huge amounts of pain. Stormtroopers very close to leveling. Blue team really under pressure. What are they going to do? Maybe it's time to push mid, because pushing west doesn't seem like a particularly good idea. Triple repair bunkers, Lehman Russ, Predator tank, a bunch of other Space Marine stuff. Motor bomb on the Predator tank. It's time to push mid, I think. Another Phobos on the way for the Crid. There's the 2-1. Still ticking down the blue team's VPs. We do see a late game havoc for Aguxyz, and it does have the Mark of Zinch. Vanguard veterans just about getting away there. 146-205. Predator tank being used very aggressively by Stormtrooper. Predator tank of RAZBEG just about getting away, but there's an orbital catching a whole bunch of Eldar stuff. It is in retreat though, so we might not see any squad wipes unless they are thrown into another beam like that. That was a really nice nuke. Did a hell of a lot of damage. Not sure if he actually got any squads. I don't think he did. Did huge amounts of damage though. If there was anything there to follow up that nuke with a little bit of damage, would have lost some squads, I think. Even with ranged attacks on those retreating stuff, they would have gone down. They were very low. Chaos Terminators taking tons of damage, trying to finish off this Predator tank. Down it goes. Stormtrooper being a little bit too adventurous with it. Trying to keep the pressure up, of course. It's the balance you've got to strike between keeping pressure up and not overextending. Devastators are capping duty on the east side. Red team down to 1 generator here. It's 104-205. Blue team are still in this. Aguxyz has been pretty solid throughout. And if the Plague Champion get back on his feet, he's got a pretty good capping tool there. RAZBEG's Techmarine also down the Crid. Sorcerer going to try and revive, maybe under infiltration from Zinch Worship. In fact, the Techmarine has been repurchased. Level 5. Plague Champion also level 5. The Techmarine, the Sorcerer, sorry, is level 4. Stormtrooper may be saving for a Land Raider now. Plague Champion is back on his feet. Might need to run away. No, he's okay. We have double missile launch tactical marines from Stormtrooper. How long is this Phobos going to survive? Was it a good idea getting another one, knowing that there's an Eldar player on the field? Speaking of Eldar players, look at that resource float from Kain. Over 1,000 rec, over 400 power. And he's only got 11 pop to play with, which is why he's not getting units. RAZBEG. Not a good push. Ran into the entire Eldar army, which is a pretty powerful one. Get those holofields up? No. With all those spare resources, still does not get the holofields up. Why not? This is such great utility. Even without the suppression potential, you've got those holofields to deploy. The actual war gear is called Pathfinder gear, I believe, not holofields. That's just the ability it gives you. 45-205, 2-1 for red. Looks like they are going to see out this game. Game kind of petering out at the end here. Blue team not able to really put up much of a fight. They need to be pushing mid, and they're not doing so. They need to all go mid, try and get the red team away from this massively camped area here. Without nukes, it's going to be very difficult to push that. Very difficult. Plague Champion trying to cap, but that plasma cannon will stop him from doing so. They need to pressure that plasma cannon. Much easier said than done, of course. Oh, there's the circle of summoning. There's a... Oh, I thought that was an Eldritch coming in. That was in fact a shot from a D cannon, which has now been forced off. I believe there's a singularity though. No, the D cannon's right there. I thought it's further back than that. Is forced off now. Look at this from a push. A push from the blue team on the west side. Running out of time though. Down to 5 VPs. They will stop the VP counter there at 5. Now they're going to take that west side, but how long realistically can they hold it for? The Crydd down to 2 units. Just get a bunch of Havocs up now. Get double Havocs up with autocannons or something. Or maybe just something to jump in and quickly pressure that plasma cannon, though it can run into any of these bunkers here. There's the 2-to-1 for blue. How long is it going to last? Is there something pressuring mid? Looks like we have double rangers having a look. Stone Guard veterans hitting level 2 for RAZBEG. Kain, I think, is pushing mid of everything, which means it's not going to last long. So Stone Guard veterans shrugging off that ranger fire. Scouts able to decap on the west side. Should have been attacking ground, but they are whacked out by the Phobos. Good aggressive play from RAZBEG, and why not? They need this kind of thing right now. They've got to throw a little bit of caution to the wind. Are those Markov Pawn CSM? They are forced off though. Vanguard veterans still in play, being knocked over left and right by these tactical marines with animation on no fear. But there's the game. A single cap takes it for red. Able to decap blue team's natural there. Sorcerer in retreat at the end, level 6. It did have demon armor at the end there. Plague champion level 5 with that very tanky, good capping build, but the plasma cannon continued to be a nuisance. Level 5 Techmarine with this melee build. We have a level 8 Apothecary from Stormtrooper, level 5 Lord General, and level 3 Farseer down. Looks like, is that the Doombringer there? I'm not sure. I think so. And there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.